How do you move horizontally through the pentatonic scale shapes instead of vertically? It's an excellent question. Traditionally, what people teach you is grab a PDF download or whatever and look at this shape. So we've got this on the fretboard escalator. There is no key, as in it is not A minor or C major. We're just going to use this as a pattern, so let's not worry about any of that right now. We're going to follow this pattern, and people say, learn this pattern. So what you got to do, you got to look at the guitar, you got to look at your PDF or your screen or whatever it is you're looking at, and you're going to screw it up a million times, and eventually you're going to get it, okay? But you've just learned it vertically. That is not going to help you when it's ingrained so strongly in your brain after going like this 1,000 times and trying to get it right with good timing. And use a metronome, by the way. That is your number. Use a metronome. Once you can actually do it with a metronome, I'm trying to show you my metronome. It is actually way more fun. Trust me, start using a metronome. Anyways, you learn the pattern vertical like this. What do you expect your brain to do? Your brain's just going to go, okay, now learn this pattern. So what we were here now, and you're going to screw that up a million times until finally you get it right. Right? Now your brain learned it that way. So the problem with that style of learning is it literally teaches you to play like that. So how else do you learn the pattern if you're not playing it? Great question, and that is why I invented the fretboard escalator. No, I'm not trying to plug it, although yes, it would be awesome if you guys could go to musiclabs.ca and sign up, because Kickstarter's coming, and if we don't get funding, you won't get this cool tool. But anyways, if you learn these patterns, instead of sitting on your guitar playing them wrong 1,000 times, you learn by putting pegs in, or alternatively, if you guys want, and this is how I started, these fret blocks, I'm just trying to be fast here. How I started doing this and why I invented this tool was because I was doing it with a piece of paper. So I sat down with a piece of paper and I would draw dots on lines. And then I would be all proud of myself after I was able to do it. And it didn't take me long. And I thought, well, if I can do it and learn it that fast with a piece of paper, and then I got to throw it on the paper and start over. And then if I wanted a different key, I'd have to throw out that paper and start over if I was going to practice and play, right? Well, this way you can do it 1,000 times and not just the patterns. I'm telling you, there's so much you can do. Because once you lay out the pattern, you can challenge yourself to swap out the root notes, then challenge yourself to swap out the thirds, then challenge yourself to drop the caged system in, challenge yourself to find the triads. There's so many exercises that I'm trying to put together, but I'm just one guy and I don't have all the time in the world. So I've created this pattern and I didn't use my guitar. So I didn't force my brain to learn this pattern vertically, although I placed it vertically. I didn't have to. I could pull them out and place them left to right. So let's do that. On the pattern to the left, I'm going to just go down the left side. So you could just pretend that I've only put this part in, and now I'm going to learn or put in the next pattern, and I'm just going to go down this way. Well, no, why can't I build from the bottom up? Can I do that? Yes, I can. So if you can do these things, that means you can do them on the guitar. Now, I digress a tiny bit here, but the question is, how do I learn to branch out from that bass pattern and stop playing vertically? Well, I've told you how you can stop playing vertically by learning the patterns in a non-vertical fashion. And I'm going to show you a little bit more of that in a second. That's an important one, actually, because we can build them horizontally with the fretboard escalator too. But I want to break out of this box. So instead of just going, well, I'm going to build this other pattern and I know I can play it beside it. No, give yourself just a few notes of an extension. I call them extensions. So we've got your bass. I call this the bass. Some people call it the home position. That is an extension. Just play your bass and extend out to there. Do that for a week. And then come back and go, okay, got kind of bored with that. Now add this as an extension. I'm going to get rid of these guys. Here's an extension to the left. Now, a lot of people will call this the pentatonic diagonal pattern. Now you know exactly where it's come from. And a lot of people will remove these couple of notes here. So regardless, we're going to build out in extensions. So let's finish off this extension here. Now, I can put these pegs in because I know it like the back of my hand, and you'll be able to do it as well if you had this or if you used a piece of paper, old school style. Now I'm up to the next pattern, which is I call it the mirror. Now we can continue on like this, but I don't want to go too off topic on the video because it was about playing horizontally instead of vertically. If you're playing lead lines, it's going to be more useful for you to know the bottom two strings. So let's build this out horizontally, linearly across the fretboard escalator. We're staying in the same key, and we're just going to do the bottom, let's do the bottom three strings. Okay? Now I know this because I've done this a million times, and because I've done this a million times, I don't have to think about it so much when I'm playing guitar. I still have trouble connecting them together. When I get lost or get really into something, I'll forget where I am. That's natural. That's normal. So I'm going to keep building this out. Let's see how far I can get to the left and to the right. I might have to actually talk myself through this because it's been a while. So this is my bass, the lower three strings of my bass. This is the lower three strings of what I call the twos, the pattern that's the twos. If you've seen my other videos, you know these are just the names. Some people call them pentatonic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the bottom three of my bass. That's the bottom three of my twos. I've got the house coming over here. That's easy because I just got to put the peak of the house here on and then add the other wall of the house, right? Okay. And now I know that this is the left side of my mirror pattern that I talk about. So right across this line here, there's nothing, right? It's a mirrored shape pattern. This one's off here. It actually comes back over here. And then that's my final one for the mirror. So if I cover this up, that's the left side of my mirror pattern. The right side of my mirror pattern has this guy coming off here. And that ends up being the end or the kind of this split between what I call the Rumpelstiltskin shape because it had no name that was any good. So I jokingly called it the Rumpelstiltskin, and now it's kind of stuck with me. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it Bob. It doesn't matter. But some people call that the C shape. The fact is now you can go and play just these notes on the lower three strings, forget everything else, and that is like 80% of where the solos are going to happen anyway. Not many people are soloing around up here on the low E string on the 12th fret. There's plenty of better places to play that. So there, you can branch out horizontally by doing that. But do you have to do that all at once when you're playing? No, absolutely not. So what I would probably recommend is starting with something like this, just like I said earlier. There's the bottom part of your bass. Now extend that bottom part over. We're going to build the top of the house, and we're going to add the walls of the house. Upside down house. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? The House of Blues. Okay. That would be an area that you can now focus on. Just be random. See if you can find them all. And then what I would do is start practicing transitioning between them. So I know that when I get up to here, this is the finger I use here. So I want to hit that finger when I move into this position so that my fingers are where I normally play. When I play that position, that's the one I want to get to. So when I go, that's the finger I want to be on so that I can feel like I'm already playing. I'm already in that position. Now, don't take that as written in stone either, because a lot of licks and riffs and wherever you're playing is going to mean you're going to play these notes in any finger, any fingering that you want that's going to make it comfortable, make you be able to do your bend. But for now, after you've learned these patterns, because if you say you want to connect these things together, you probably know these patterns, right? pick the fingers when you move from one pattern to another, pick the same finger that you would use. So that's how I would start extending. Now you can do it the other way. Okay, so we have our extension to the left. All right, let's do the same thing. We're just gonna find our scale, the normal pentatonic scale, find where we are, we're here. And now let's just randomly, one string at a time, work on the G string. Wrong, sorry. And make mistakes. And if you don't make mistakes, you're not learning, honestly. If you don't go hard, make a ton of mistakes, then as far as I'm concerned, you're not learning. So of course there's a time and place for cold, calculated playing, with a metronome especially. But at this level, and who cares? If you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough. So now randomly, find notes. Don't be musical. Be intentionally unmusical. Because the point is to look at your fretboard, and after a while you can actually just look at the fretboard escalator or a combination of them and find notes. The other thing about making mistakes is you'll hear it. So you can immediately hear when I haven't hit a pentatonic note. And if you can't, then just keep playing. You will. You will eventually hear it. Okay, I think that's it. That's how I would start expanding. So now, of course, take the next set of strings up, the next 3 up. Well, finish the pattern all the way out to the entire fretboard. Then to the next 3 up from there and work on those. Then work on the middle 3. You can spend hours, you can spend days, you could spend weeks, months, years doing this. I have a pretty good idea of where I am on the fretboard, but when I get lost quick, and I need to recenter myself, and I always come back to this position. That's what I'm working on right now, not coming back to that position. And the only way to do that, start learning notes on your fretboard, note names, so that you can find positions you like. The 2 most important positions are this one, your standard, whatever, you know what I mean, the standard bass, and I'll play it in the same place, but people call this the C shape. So that's how I would do it. I would expand all the way to the rest of the fretboard. I would then do the top 3 strings. I would do the middle 3 strings. I would do 1 string at a time, kind of like I was showing. It's endless. You can spend hours on this, and it's so worth it, because if you know that all across the fretboard, then you'll be soloing in key. You're not chord tone targeting yet, but all the notes you play will be in key, and you'll hit the odd one that's like, oh, it sounds amazing over that chord. That's you chord tone targeting without even knowing it. Okay, so awesome. I think that's a good start. Let me know if it makes any difference. Fire in the comments below. And yeah, if you don't mind swinging by musiclabs.ca, if you've watched all the way to this point of the video, then good job. Kickstarter is going to come soon, and would love your support. And hey, just reach out and say hi.